Ever since I was 8 to 9 years old, I have known that minors' legal rights are limited, and that rather than being legally a person, they are a secondary class. Minors are undeveloped, unable, unknowledgeable, and naive, but that does not mean that the legal precedent for their personhood should be infringed upon. This is obviously going to get a lot of criticism, a lot of personal attacks, a lot of back and forth, but hear me out. Because any class of people isn't known to be prejudiced against until someone is willing to stand up for the weak. And that is what I intend to make with this message. In most of the world, including the Western world, blatant human rights abuses are exercised against children on the basis that they don't have personhood yet. The fact that minors are required by the authorities to ask to leave abusive households, that fact leads to suicide, PTSD, and the degradation of their human soul. The fact that minors can be legally thrown into psychiatric facilities, conversion facilities, behavior adjustment facilities, that fact leads to suicide, PTSD, degradation of their human soul. The fact that minors can be legally assaulted for misbehavior by school districts, by guardians, by parents. That fact leads to suicide, PTSD, and a degradation of their human soul. When you look at this behavior in the world around you, you might think it is deserved. You might think this is how people learn to curb their unnecessary and negative behaviors. You might think it's just how we deal with mental illness, and sadly, that's a systematic thought. It all comes down to one thing. Those with these beliefs do not believe they have personhood, as in the right to be human. To be human is to have bodily integrity, to have boundaries with the world, to be someone else, and to be an individual. Children are unable to leave abusive households by their own accord in most states. Social workers visit, then they leave. They do not come back. The majority of home visits on the investigation of abuse are thwarted by guardians with basic social intelligence. In most states, there is the requirement that marks appear on the body to be investigated. In several states, there is the requirement that these marks have to be proven to be done by the guardian, as in someone saw it happen. Of course, there is also the requirement in multiple states, even in the case of clear physical abuse, it must have been done without intention to teach. For emotional abuse, there is no legal paperwork in the USA that allow children to escape. Social workers are typically caught in a legal battle where what matters is the social worker's underlying prejudices in regards to the he said, she said situation. There's rarely a proper ordinance to act on an abusive guardianship because it is so hard to prove. The only true way to fight abuse is to allow the abused to get out of the relationship. Rather than depend on a flawed and inadequate government force, we go forward by giving a legal right and process for minors to leave guardianship out of their own free will. Secondly, minor forced psychiatric stays, as with behavior conversion camps, are completely legal in, I believe, every state of the U.S. Feel free to correct me in the comments. This is a disgusting human rights violation. To break this down, a guardian can temporarily give guardianship of a minor to someone else. The legal process is easy, doesn't require any form of consent from the patron. No evidence is required for a guardian to do this. You wake up in the middle of the night, two large, burly men are around your bed, telling you to come with them. You are exhausted and confused. You're asking why. The only thing they tell you is that if you go, don't go with them immediately, or you even try to talk to your guardians, they will handcuff you and drag you to the airport. Boys camps, misbehavior facilities, psych wards, all the same name, all the same flimsy legal process. If your guardian wants you to completely warp your life into a traumatic new environment, they currently have the complete right to do so. They do not require a legal precedent to send you here. There are no laws stopping a guardian from lying on these forms. This can just be done. Within a day, maybe two, your guardian can literally have you shipped to another state to join one of these so-called programs. There are no legal precedents to escape these, nor are there social workers who are required to make sure basic human rights are followed. Boys camps, girls camps, wilderness journeys, they go by many names, but they all have the ability to commit abuse and get away with it. Sexual abuse is common, especially in the girls' camps. Physical abuse from these counselors' enjoyment of control and authority is common in all camps. Verbal abuse is the in and out of the day-to-day life. You are forced into an environment with a bunch of minors who are in some way bad people, abuse and trauma, leading itself to be far worse because you simply do not have a support system anymore. And these kids, they're all in the same sort of circumstance. How do you expect to have a support system in this? This is happening all across the USA. The worst cases are in Arizona for their lax guardianship laws, but New Mexico, Texas, and Louisiana all run large amounts of these programs. If a minor can be legally sent to an unregulated encampment without free will, forced to work against their will, and allow any and all abuse to happen to them without free will to stop it, they will never attain any form of hope in their lives. Many people who leave these encampments end up mass drug abusers and as criminals. It's a place for bad kids to be made worse through those who just like power. Thirdly, although I expect many people to see an issue with this, but minors have no legal right to have their agency imposed on. They can be hurt, attacked, injured, maimed. The fact is that no one considers this abuse. It is going the minor. Spoil the rod, spoil the child. As if this minor is so inhuman that they don't have the basic rights to agency over their body. Dare I say it, assaulting someone, no matter how you assault someone, is wrong. Just like how hitting your spouse has been made illegal for disciplinary reasons, child abuse is in its full form, needs to be outright banned. Guardians have the legal requirement to take care of their child, but that does not mean that the child is any less human than them. If you have been abused, do not forget your abuser. Do not stand down. At no point is what they have done okay. And you should never in any regard believe that there was inherently good intentions through your abuse. No good person treats another person as if they're property. The current legal scene is that children are a mix of things, but your guardian says what you will do. Your guardian says where your personal possessions will go and who you will be ultimately. Guardianship is essentially a form of slavery, regardless if it's a proper intended use to hold a family together. If we are going to have that, let's have it at least without the massive human rights abuses, okay? Believe that someday people are not traumatized. People can live their lives freely and happily, developing relationships with other people without trauma stopping them. Trauma can kill a soul. My opponents want kids to grow up safe, to live life in pain, and to eventually kill themselves. I know this is history. I know this history because I have lived it. For me to be saying this, I am putting my life into politics, into activism, and in the belief that I can help those unable to defend themselves. Minors can't vote because they can't pay taxes, and they can't pay taxes because their parents have guardianship and pay taxes in their names. So who do you expect to defend minors from injustices? Angry parents? Do you expect that parents will willfully do this to their kids, whatever protests against their own actions? No, they won't. It's up to you, to me, to those who've been abused, to look back on their lives and to realize they're still the same person, that their abuse is not separate from them. We all need to return to the places we have been vulnerable and fix the sins for those who allow these dynamics to exist. For who will defend those unable to defend themselves? With that somber note, thank you for watching. My email is in the description, as with a general newsletter to keep up with our political campaigns. If you have any ideas of how you can assist this channel bringing these concepts forward, do feel free to email me your suggestions. Stand up and don't back down.